this and this. One of them is Sony A7IV and one of them is Lumix S5IIX. Do you think which is which? Okay, let's go back there one more time. This and this. Which is which? How's it going, guys, and thank you for coming back to this channel again. So, were you able to spot the difference between A7IV and S5IIX? Okay, so let's find out the answer. So, the answer was this one. I mean, A is Lumix S5IIX and B is Sony A7IV. How was it? You got it correct? Before I made a comparison of FX30 and S5 II, but more than that, this A7IV versus S5IIX is a huge topic. Because simply, I get the question like, which should I get? And it's just their position is pretty much same. They both are the best hybrid machine in their brand and they have a common in what they can do. But also there are some huge differences that potentially can be the huge deal when you choose the one from them. So today let's compare those cameras in many ways to find which is better for you. Okay, so before jumping to this video, please hit subscribe if you haven't already to grow this channel. I need your support. Okay, first, let's see their recording options. In S5IIX, 6K up to 30 FPS with Photo or 10-bit is available. And you got 5.9K, DCI 4K, 4K, and so on. A7IV has 4K up to 1080p with some codec options. Definitely S5IIX can provide you more options so that you can be flexible for many situations. That is definitely plus of this S5IIX. But if you want to make it simple, A7IV is better because it's just easier to choose what you want. Anyway, let's compare their 4K. So, A7IV's 4K is oversampled from 7K data, and S5IIX got a normal 4K. Very difficult to spot the difference in the actual shooting environment, like outside. They look pretty much the same. A7IV looks a tiny bit sharper. I don't know. You know, if I do a strict shooting experiment, there will be the difference. But I guess it won't be that huge. So those were shot on manual focus. If I crop them really hard, there's a slight sharpness difference, but yeah, that's it. So S5IIX has OpenGate 6K, which means the real 6K. So let's see if there is a difference between this 6K and 7K 4K. Well, same thing just happened. There is pretty much no difference at like this environment. Both captured really well. But even though A7IV has 4K with 7K data, it's not better than the real 6K of S5IIX. They were shot on manual focus again, and if you crop them this much, okay, this time I can see the difference. You know, lines are clearer in S5IIX 6K. You know, I'm not too geek to know this, 100%, but according to the internet, the real 6K is better than oversampling 4K. But at the same time, if you shoot 6K on S5IIX, it's gonna be 420 10-bit, which is less color than 422 10-bit 7K oversampling 4K of A7IV. That's so complicated to say. 420 7K, blah blah blah. But yeah, so it's pretty much if you choose the color or the detail. But let's go back to the real life. Come on, that doesn't matter. 6K or 4K, not a big deal. But at least S5IIX has more options. So both can shoot 4K 60 FPS, and their quality are pretty much same. Both have same amount of noise on shadow, and there were not a color difference from the original 24 FPS footage. So I guess they equally have slow motion performance. Alright, now A7IV, S-Log3, S5IIX, V-Log. 10-bit, 422 10-bit for each. How is the difference? I mean, this is pretty much like S-Log versus V-Log. So first of all, their color production are amazing. Honestly, Sony was not good at it before, but it got a good color science now. Lumix, of course, has it too. Every time I shoot with Lumix, I fall in love with its color every time. So the difference is that Sony is shifted to orange, yellow a little bit, but not in a bad way. This depends pretty much on your preference. But when it comes to the skin tone, I feel Lumix is more natural. And you will see this difference through all footages, but Sony got a deeper shadow. Not crushed or lost detail, I mean it has stronger contrast and I kinda like it better than S5IIX. A7IV captured them with a clearer boundary of shadow and highlight. I think I said this before in like S5 II versus FX30 video. What's this? Well, it doesn't mean S5IIX can't express that. I'm just talking those things based on my instant feedback when I apply the same color grading on both footages. But when it comes to the normal color without a log and color grading, the result gets opposite. S5IIX gets stronger than A7 IV. Color difference is still pretty much same when it was log, but the contrast got stronger. So far, it wasn't like the spec battle, because the one has something the another doesn't have. And especially when it comes to color, it pretty much depends on your preference. But here is one of huge topics in S5IIX versus A7 IV. That is external recording. First of all, S5IIX can shoot through USB-C so that you can record directly on SSD. When that 5.8K Apple ProRes 10-bit is available. Well, when you compare it with just normal 4K 10-bit of A7 IV, the quality is not massive. Slightly, I felt I had more color grading freedom in S5IIX at post, but not a massive difference. But more than that, the pros of SSD recording is that you can handle the big data with a fast writing and reading speed. Also, if you directly record on SSD, you can edit in that by connecting it to your computer. That's huge when you have like long shooting situation. Also, A7 IV can shoot through HDMI, but the RAW is not available. S5IIX can handle 12-bit ProRes RAW and Blackmagic RAW by HDMI recording with a Atomos or Blackmagic monitor recorder. Well, I know that's not a major way to shoot videos, but that's definitely great to have for, when you need them in the future. So about this, S5IIX is better. So at the last of image quality, let's talk about low light performance. A7 IV has dual native ISO 800 and 3200, and S5IIX has 640 and 4000. First, at the ISO 640. Obviously, there is the exposure difference again. S5IIX is brighter than A7 IV, even though they were shot on the exact same setting. But yeah, it's just S5IIX is a little brighter, and that's it. No big noise difference, color shifting issue. It looks like the hair is slightly sharper in S5IIX. ISO 800. Looks like S5IIX has a little more noise than A7 IV. Well, that's fair. A7 IV is supposed to look better than S5IIX because ISO 800 is a lower native ISO of A7 IV. And S5IIX looked a little better at ISO 640, which was the lower native ISO of S5IIX. So yeah, that means they both are doing great job at the native ISO. ISO 3200. This is A7 IV's higher native ISO, so it looks better than A7IIX. A7II. I kept saying A7 IV S5IIX, so my head is confusing. A7II. So yeah, A7 IV looks better than S5IIX. Especially around this battle, A7 IV captured it clearer. ISO 4000. This is the S5IIX higher native ISO, so the noise around this battles got so much better. Overall, it's very clean. Even though this is not a native ISO for A7 IV, it's still doing a great job. ISO 12800. This is super difficult to say which is better. S5IIX can shoot it brighter than A7 IV at the same ISO level, and sometimes S5IIX is clearer, like on this white, but sometimes A7 IV looks sharper like the hair. So I thought S5IIX shadow was lifted up, and that generated more noises than A7 IV. So I adjusted the exposure to match with A7 IV. Now they look pretty much the same. I mean, in terms of noise and sharpness. I guess their low light performance is pretty much the same. The more I test, the more I got lost. So let me know what you think. Okay, now let's talk about build quality and usability. First, A7 IV weighs about 1.4 pounds and S5IIX weighs 1.64 pounds. Not a big difference. In fact, I never felt like S5IIX is chunky and heavy. The size and weight is pretty much the same, but the grip is a huge difference. Honestly, A7 IV got so much better grip than S5IIX. S5IIX is not bad. It got a big and deep grip. But I don't like the feel of, nails touching the body. A7 IV holds my hands and finger better, just like this. See? My finger, nails are not touching. But to me, S5IIX has a better ergonomics. Especially this shutter button, aperture control dial. When you hold the camera, my index finger comes right here more naturally. And it's a little tilted so it can fit the finger better. Also, this dial is easier to use. But A7 IV has better button qualities. Each button is distinguished. It's easy and comfortable to press. Well, about the position of button and design, it's all about if you get used to it or not. Now I'm pretty much used to the Lumix design, so I feel super comfortable on it. What I like about this is that, it got a menu button at the right side. So I can access to the menu in a second. Also this focus selection button, switch. And I recently did a portrait photography. This photo, mode selection dial is so handy. Plus this has a crazy amount of function buttons like this. But A7 IV is simpler again. Eventually you can change the role of those buttons, but this originally has 4 custom buttons like 1, 2, 3, 4. And they are super easy to use. Because S5IIX has too many things, sometimes it gets, complicated. But that's a good thing, but also that's a bad thing. Maybe, especially for beginners. S5IIX is all black and it's dope, but the material, touching feel is better in A7 IV. Like it feels more like secured, solid. So about the interface, personally I like A7 IV better. A7 IV has those like solid covers. They are easy to open and close than S5IIX. This, soft covers like that. And they both have 2 memory card slots, but A7 IV can handle the CF Express, which is super fast and efficient, but S5IIX can't, just 2 SD cards slot. Just simply and honestly, I like A7 IV better when it comes to the interface. But I guess this is pretty much, the money talks part. A7 IV is more expensive than S5IIX, and so far I'm feeling that money difference is not coming from the image quality difference. I guess this is coming from the build quality difference. With that being said, I'm so convinced that A7 IV has the better build quality. But when it comes to the function, S5IIX has more options. I'm not gonna dive deep in this because I already made a full detailed review of S5II and S5IIX before. Like it has many setting options for the audio and other bunch of video photo setting like histogram, scopes, and night vision mode is cool, although I never used it before. Also, S5IIX has the anamorphic disc squeeze setting, which is necessary when you shoot on the anamorphic lens. And it got user LUT, which A7 IV doesn't have. See, I can go on more. So please watch the full review of S5II and S5IIX. So now let's talk about the interesting topic, overheating and battery power, which I've never done it before in this channel. But yeah, it was super interesting. So both cameras were on the same condition, shooting 4K, 24 FPS, 422 10-bit. A7 IV was overheated after about an hour, but S5IIX just kept going. Battery was almost dying, so I had to stop the test. But if it was running by the external power, it could go for like 3 hours, I don't know. But as this tells you, S5IIX was better at this. About the battery, I couldn't get the result because this A7 IV was shut down because of the heat. But I guess they are pretty much same. When I was shooting at the lake, S5IIX died a little faster than A7 IV, but it was not an equal experiment. But anyway, what I can say is no matter which you use, you gotta have to carry 2 or 3 batteries if you shoot on 4K. So another big topic, autofocus and image stabilization. So first, autofocus. Surprisingly, there was not an obvious difference. Sorry Lumix, but I was 100% sure that A7 IV, was better. But look at this. Both have a max speed autofocus setting, but just like this. We know A7 IV has the incredible autofocus, but we didn't know S5IIX had this good autofocus performance. Speed is good, tracking ability is good. How could I say which is better after seeing this? But if I have to be so strict, I can say that A7 IV has more smooth, focus movement, but that's it. I use S5IIX a lot, but I didn't know this got this good autofocus. So I didn't do, more complicated autofocus tests than this, but I know Sony has the detailed autofocus performance. The reason why I feel in this way is that sometimes I do the sport shooting, like climbing and, water polo. When the subject is moving so hard and sometimes the objects are blocking the subject, which generates the, difficult focusing situation. I was using S5IIX and not A7 IV, but I was using FX30 at the same time. And FX30 never missed. It just went how I exactly want it. But S5IIX missed a couple of times. And definitely at that moment, I felt FX30 had a better detailed autofocus performance. So this is pretty much based on my personal use, but hope this helps. But when it comes to the image stabilization, S5IIX just nailed it. Come on, look at this comparison. It just tells it loud and clear. And it was not even the boost mode, it was just normal IS. You think I walked rough intentionally on A7 IV's footage? Just look at this. I walked more carefully than I did with S5IIX. But no matter how many times I tried, the result never changed. But anyway, S5IIX is better at the image stabilization. Okay, at the last, let's talk about their photography performance. A7 IV shoots 33 megapixel and S5IIX shoots 24 megapixel. Both raw quality are fantastic. Simply A7 IV has more detail, but 24 and 33 megapixel are not that different. But actually it doesn't matter that which has what, because eventually you're gonna edit those raw files. But what I can say is Sony's raw image looks brighter and the light looks better. If I have to choose the one, I would choose A7 IV's depiction. Plus, photography experience with A7 IV was super lovely. I don't know if that's because this got a better grip and the shutter sound. This has legit shake when the shutter goes down. But yeah, overall, I just like the total photography experience with A7 IV than S5IIX. But do you know there is the high resolution mode in S5IIX that provides you 96 megapixel photo. You're gonna need a tripod to stabilize the camera, but definitely it's a great option. And they both have a continuous shooting. I don't do this a lot, but here's a good chart. It seems that A7 IV is better at the mechanical shutter, but S5IIX has electronic shutter mode, which is faster, like a 30 FPS. But actually, this doesn't matter for me. But I care about the speed. So CF Express is available in A7 IV, so even when it's continuous shooting, it's fast. Okay, this is it. Hope this helps you somehow, someday. So after comparing those two cameras, A7 IV and S5IIX, I know one thing. That is, both are great hybrid cameras. But S5IIX is a little shifted to videography and A7 IV is shifted to photography. But don't get me wrong, A7 IV has amazing pro video spec, but if I compare it with S5IIX, it's just this camera got a little better video performance. If you just use them as hybrid machine, it doesn't matter, which to choose. But if you consider them as a video camera, S5IIX provides you more options. Some of them are just handy tools, but some of them are necessary for filmmaking. For me, external recording like HDMI, SSD, and overheating resistance, and of course color production of S5IIX are huge. But if you are already using like a A6400, A7 III, you don't necessarily have to, go for Lumix because you already have E-mount lenses. So just go for like A6700 or A7 IV, maybe even A7S3 FX series. But if you don't have a camera yet, this S5IIX or S5 II are the amazing deal. get the double lens kit. That's a way better option right now. You know, you got the S5 II and S5IIX plus 20 to 60mm zoom lens and 50mm 1.8 prime lens. And it's about $3,000. People make cameras and people use cameras. What we have in our hand is not a piece of metal. It's a philosophy and message from people. Okay, this is it. If you have any question, just shoot me anytime, anywhere. And if you like this video, show me a thumb and hit the subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. じゃあまた。